Hey everyone and welcome. Today we have a very special guest in our fireside chat who has been cornerstone of innovations at Fortinet for last 20 years. We are going to talk about Fortinet's SASE and innovations that we have implemented, but also where we are going in future. Jordan, welcome.
Thanks, Nirav. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jordan, can you tell us more about your journey with Fortinet? I know you joined as a developer, it's been 20 years, and you're now managing the entire FortiSASE R&D and product development. Would love to hear more about your role.
Sure, and you mentioned 20 years. When I first joined, I was working as a developer on FortiOS 2.8, and product looked a little bit different back then. It's certainly evolved over the years, but what hasn't changed is the culture of innovation. And I think right when I joined, I saw that engineers were bringing fresh ideas to the team all the time, and those ideas, they actually went somewhere. If you had a good idea, it was heard by the management, by the leadership, and you were able to actually get it built into the product. And if you look at the evolution of FortiOS, you see things like application control, and you see things like SD-WAN. These come from the development team. In many cases, they're coming up with these ideas, we're implementing them, and then they become cutting-edge features or sometimes even products on the platform. And I think if you look at the R&D team, many of the people have been around for a very long time, and I think that culture of innovation is really what keeps people excited and motivated to be on the team. And for myself especially, it's always exciting to see what the team might come up with next.
That's amazing. FortiOS 2.8 to now FortiOS 7.6 is quite a journey. Jordan, one thing that I always think about is Fortinet has the security fabric as a platform. And when the SASE as a term came in, I'm curious to know how your team went about build this platform, build this product, and use a lot of existing capabilities to deliver the real outcomes.
Sure, and I think if you look back at when we started investigating SASE, what we realized is many of the SASE functionality was already in FortiOS, just as features. It has CASB built in, Secure Web Gateway built in, firewall, of course, and then even things like Zero Trust. These are just features of the product. And so we didn't have to go acquire companies or make big investments that way. We already had the capabilities. We just had to bring it to the cloud and bring it to as close to the customer as possible at scale. And I think that was obviously a big task, but it was easier than trying to build everything from the ground up. And I think this is a true example of the convergence of networking and security. It brings all of those things together, whether it's FortiOS, FortiGuard, AI-powered security, or even that unified agent. All of these capabilities, it's powered by Fortinet technology end to end. It's pretty powerful.
And that is a true differentiator, because I remember when the SASE team emerged, especially during pandemic, there are a lot of vendors out there who acquired companies, stitched things together, versus Fortinet, where we had the foundation of capabilities already in FortiOS. And really it's about delivering that at scale as a service. And that brings me to this next question of, to deliver it at the scale, we need to have this global cloud network. And I know we have a unique strategy. Maybe can you talk about why are we building this purpose-built data center global network?
Yeah, it's a great point, Nirav. And I think if you look at it historically, it's not new to Fortinet. We've had FortiGuard labs around the world. We've been delivering our FortiGuard updates and our services around the world for a long time. And we've got this long-term strategy of building out data centers to bring those updates and those services as close as possible to our customers. And today we have almost 5 million square feet of global data center space, which is massive. And for SASE, this is huge because it brings that security and that connectivity as close to the customer as possible. I think the big advantage of having our own data centers is kind of twofold. One is we control the entire stack end to end. So we have the ability to put in our own appliances, do hardware offloading, and accelerate that traffic and bring best-of-breed security to the customer. And the other is that it helps bring down our costs. And bringing down our costs is one thing, but the bigger advantage there is that, more importantly, it brings down the cost for the customer, which is part of our long-term strategy.
Yeah, and Jordan, this kind of goes back to the philosophy of the company, where we believe in building a purpose-built technology. Over the last many years, we've spent billions of dollars building ASIC. Now we're building this global cloud network. And you're right, at the end of the day, to customers, it's getting that ROI, which we deliver. But I know there's also a big emphasis at Fortinet about our ESG initiatives and reducing the carbon neutral requirements. So I'm sure this also helps in that direction.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we can leverage our own equipment inside the data center, we've been working hard to reduce the power consumption of our own firewalls and our own other appliances. This is also an advantage of running it in our own data center, where we can't do the same thing if we were to run it elsewhere.
Now, a lot of things today we talked about. There is always the flexibility is the key focus, everything we do. We talked about the purpose-built cloud, but I know your team also works closely with a multi-cloud provider for global cloud network. Can you share your thinking about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you look at building a data center, it's not a short-term project, right? You have to get the real estate, you have to build it out. There's a lot of things that go involved, and it varies widely when you go country by country. And I think in order to accelerate our development and our deployment, we've partnered with a couple of key cloud providers, Google Cloud and AWS. And this allows us to bring that same security closer to the customer more quickly. And it's in locations where we don't have a data center yet, but we may be working at building that out. And it allows us to get that customer that same best-of-breed security, the same performance, but close to where their users are.
So that's another big differentiator, right? Because now customers can choose our own cloud location, GCP or AWS, as you mentioned. And again, underlying the security enforcement, zero trust enforcement is flexible wherever they want. So that's big to a lot of our customers. Thank you, that was great. It will be a miss if I don't talk about AI. And I truly believe that at Fortinet, what we are doing with AI is something not new. We have been doing this for many years. So I want to start the discussion about how are we using AI to secure some of the most advanced attacks out there. Can you touch upon those initiatives?
Sure, and I think you're absolutely right. AI is not new to Fortinet. We've been using AI to deliver FortiGuard services for many years. And with our massive install base of more than 6 million global sensors, collecting information from intrusion protection, app control, and all these other services that FortiGuard provides, we're able to learn a lot of information. And that information is hard to process, and so we have to have a fast and efficient way to do it. And that's where AI comes in on the FortiGuard side, allowing our threat intelligence analysts to learn about emerging threats and be able to react to them much more quickly. But that's only one side of it. The other side is Gen AI. And I think today a lot of enterprises are concerned that their employees are using Gen AI tools for day-to-day work tasks. They may be uploading source code or internal documentation with the right intent, but there's always a bit of risk associated with that. And so FortiGuard has a service that helps you secure that AI usage within your enterprise. And we can monitor, analyze, and respond and block all types of AI usage directly within the platform. And for FortiSASE, it's really just a feature the customer turns on when they want to enable this type of behavior.
The two things really stood out to me there. One, you mentioned about the scale of how we collect the data, and we process trillions of events to find out the most advanced threats. And that's a true differentiator, because there are a lot of vendors who provide SASE, but if you don't have a really good security teams, what's the point of deploying technologies without that power of best-of-breed security offering? So thank you for sharing those insights. And while we talked about securing the AI, there's also a lot of focus on how can we use AI to simplify operation. And I know you have a lot of different use cases, and you also showed a demo today about AI with experience, digital experience monitoring. Maybe touch upon that.
Sure, and I think if you look at NOC and SOC teams, they're quite frankly just overwhelmed. And even with a large team, analysts may be reviewing hundreds, thousands of events per day, and you need to be able to react quickly to get to the ones that are important for the business. Ultimately, if your employees are spending time troubleshooting tasks that are not related to the business, they're not doing what you're paying them for. And so you need to get them as quickly as possible back onto that productive work. And our goal with some of the AI capabilities is to be able to help an incident response team or a network team review, respond, and then remediate these types of things as quickly as possible. And I think what you see in the demo is a great example of this, which If you look back at what an IT team might have to do to respond to that type of incident before, it could take days or hours. They can now respond in minutes, and I think that's a huge advantage for those teams.
Yeah, I mean, every time I'm talking to CISO and CIO, the biggest question is, show me the real world examples that AI will make an impact. And what you just described, if we can reduce the task from weeks to and be done in minutes, there is no better way to augment the skill shortage and help boost the productivity. So that was great. Thank you for bringing those innovations to us. I know there's one thing that you mentioned as part of that demo is an agent. We have an agent which does a lot of these capabilities. Can you talk about that and where are we going in the future?
Sure, and I think if you look back at the demo, it's easy to see a number of these different features that are built in to that single agent directly. We have that secure connectivity to the SASE cloud. You've got zero trust built in as a feature in that agent. You've got digital experience monitoring that end-to-end network connectivity and performance. And then you've got other things like endpoint protection, which includes scanning for vulnerabilities and then remediating them directly on the endpoint. Those are just some of the features that are built in, and I think the advantage there is it's one thing to install and one thing to monitor. And for your IT team, you don't have to worry about different types of configuration across different types of platforms. You've got consistent security, consistent installation with one single agent. And if you look back at what we're doing with FortiOS, we're converging a lot of this technology together. That unified agent will continue to get new capabilities, such as endpoint DLP, which will further add value to that single installation.
So true example of consolidation across the OS, across the agent, and it's great to see that we're continuously using that same approach across the core product. So far we talked about so many innovations that your team is bringing. And I really want to ask you, as you lead the R&D and the product development, how do you manage, how do you decide and prioritize the new innovations that should be brought back to the market, to the customers?
Yeah, I think it's really important to look at Fortinet as a customer-first organization. And Nirav, I remember more than 10 years ago now going to my first Fortinet Experts event. It was called Extreme Team at the time. It's since changed, but these are week-long technical training events for our top partners around the world, led by Fortinet experts, training our partners on top technology, new changes in our products. They get to see some exclusive things that are coming. We like to use these events to train our partners on the new stuff that's in our product, in our platform. But we also, as part of the product team, meet with a lot of customers. And the first event I went to more than 10 years ago, it was back-to-back meetings, 10 hours, 12 hours a day with the partners, hearing exactly what's important to them and to their business. And then we take that feedback and we try to roll it back into the product to make sure we can get what our customers need back to them as quickly as possible. And for SASE, it's interesting because it's a cloud service. We can actually iterate on this much more quickly than with a traditional appliance-based release. So I think we get that value to our customers even faster.
And I know over the last many years, your team has released hundreds of new innovations, many features which are game-changing and truly differentiate us. But Jordan, how do you and your team go about training customers and partners? Because we want to make sure they are using some of these latest features to get the value out of those investments.
Yeah, I think, Fortinet first and foremost has a large training organization that helps distribute this information to our partners and our customers very well. But one of the interesting things we do from the R&D side is what's called the Ultimate Fabric Challenge. And with the Ultimate Fabric Challenge, we take key capabilities from FortiOS and other products, and we fold them into this gamified competition where our top partners have to compete in real time to try and configure the latest and greatest in Fortinet technology. And they do it under time pressure, under a lot of people watching at these experts events. And SASE, being one of the key priorities for Fortinet, is typically included as one of the key highlights within the environment. So we showcase a lot of our new capabilities, and we get our partners to run through and try to set them up in real time. And at those events, people are, again, competing, and they're trying to qualify for our global championship. And we've got 2 events to close out the year. One is coming up in Thailand, and then we've got another one in the US. And the winners from around the globe will qualify to compete in our finals at Las Vegas at the beginning of 2026. So super excited about that, and maybe we'll see you there.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? And what a cool idea that all these innovations that we are doing, you and your team have gamified that. There is a competition going on, and I've seen those great medals with the Fortinet ASIC. I mean, brilliantly done there. But thank you so much. I mean, this is a great for a lot of us, and I'm sure audience also found the value in understanding behind the scenes what your teams are doing. Because so far, throughout the day today, we talked a lot about SASE. But there are three things that I want them to take away. One is our approach with FortiOS to deliver the simplicity at scale, what we're doing with the cloud infrastructure, providing them a lot of flexibility. And ultimately, AI is being used across our security services as well as helping customers. And all this information, I'm sure everybody here found it important. So thank you again. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Nirav. Always great chatting with you.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for all your time today. And thank you for bringing such innovative questions throughout the day to learn more about our SASE. At Fortinet, we are committed to deliver the unified SASE to ultimately solve the problem around securing access for any user for any applications. Continue to give us feedback and let us know if you have any other questions. Thank you.